Hi, welcome to Gattsy on Goosebumps, the show in which I review every single one of R.L. Stine's Goosebumps books from the original series. Today we are talking Fever. Fever when you touch me, Fever when you hold me tight. We're talking Goosebumps number 14, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. You can see we've got a fever swamp there. Really like the blue and purple and green colour scheme they've got going there. Very subdued, very faded. It's just a really good picture, I like it. And you can tell it's a werewolf because we've got clothes there, and regular wolves have no use for those. Tagline is, "Who's afraid of the big bad wolf?" And below reads as follows. What big teeth you have. There's something horrible happening in Fever Swamp. Something really horrible. It started with a strange howling at night. Then there was the rabbit, torn to shreds. Everyone thinks Grady's new dog is responsible. After all, he looks just like a wolf. And he seems a little on the wild side, a bit like me. But Grady knows his dog is just a regular old dog. And most dogs don't howl at the moon. Or disappear at midnight. Or change into terrifying creatures when the moon is full. Or do they? That doesn't make sense. Grady knows his dog is just a regular old dog, and most dogs don't howl at the moon. Or do they? I don't get it. Is he saying his dog's... doesn't it... Why am I having trouble following that? So Grady is a boy with a very unfortunate name, but his misfortunes don't end there because he's forced to move to the Florida swamps with his parents and his sister because they're doing experiments to see if deer can live in swamps. He does manage to make two friends his own age, Will and then later Cassie, and he gets a pet, a big wild stray dog from the swamp that he calls Wolf due to its size and wild nature, but it's a friendly old thing. Soon, strange things start happening at the swamp. Grady hears this howling coming from the swamp in the middle of the night, and he hears a scratching on his door, and he finds a rabbit. It's just torn apart as if by a wild animal. Now, Cassie thinks it's the swamp hermit who lives in the middle of Fever Swamp, crazy erratic old man, and he's actually a werewolf. Will doesn't believe in werewolves and says that's not a possibility. But after one of the deer gets ripped apart, Grady's dad theorizes it must be Wolf, the pet dog. Before he can take action, the dog escapes. Later that night, when the moon is full, Grady and Will both go to the swamp again to investigate this howling that they hear once more. And they get lost from each other in the process, and Grady ends up at the swamp hermit's hut, and he hears howling. And he's sure that the swamp hermit is the werewolf. But the swamp hermit's not. It's actually Will was the werewolf the whole time, and he bites Grady, but Wolf comes to the rescue. Wolf, not werewolf, comes to the rescue. Wolf saves Grady from the werewolf, fights off Will, but Grady passes out. He wakes up in his bed. The swamp hermit actually rescued him. So, as it turns out, Will was a werewolf the whole time. Also, when he bit Grady, Grady turned into a werewolf, and the story ends with Grady saying he really enjoys being a werewolf at the full moon, and he goes out in the swamp with his pet wolf and Will, and they go exploring together. So, all's well, I guess. It's not unusual for Goosebumps to keep you guessing throughout the whole time, and usually there's one person who you're meant to think is the culprit of the monster, and then the twist ending is someone else entirely. But this is entirely different, because you have no idea who the werewolf is. It could be the dog, it could be the swamp hermit, it could be Will, or it could be Cassie. And this one, it turns out it's Will, but I couldn't remember. Reading through, I'm like, wait, who actually is the werewolf in this one? Besides that, it takes a very traditional Goosebumps formula of putting a main protagonist in an unfamiliar environment, and there's nothing wrong with sticking to that formula if it's done very well, and it really is. Swamp is a particularly rich environment for this sort of story. And R.L. Stine gives some really good descriptions. And R.L. Stine gives some really good descriptions about the swamp, you know, being warm and sticky and breathing as if the swamp itself is alive. And it certainly works to increase the tension in the story. At its core, you've got a classic Goosebumps mystery, and it doesn't have to rely on 50 new plot devices in the last chapter to wrap everything up nicely. So, very classic formula, but it works very well. I think it's an iconic book of the series, and I definitely recommend it. Well, that's all for this week, but please join me next time in which I discuss Goosebumps number 15, Welcome to Horrorland. As always, thank you for watching, and please, stay spooky.